Wow, it's been a dramatic time for everybody involved in the miEverest campaign. October 17 and the $15 million TAB Everest looms large. In the past few days, well, it's been the highs and lows of the racing industry, we've got to say. And to explain it all is the CEO of the miEverest campaign in Steve Brown. Steve, 1 minute we went from the equal favourite as far as second favourite is concerned for the miEverest, and then Rothfire has unfortunately been injured.
Yeah, it was pretty sad, TK, and I think it knocked everyone. There's thousands of people around the country that were pretty excited by Rothfire and everything that he stood for, and the way that Rob Heathcote and his stable were managing the whole situation. It was a bit of a fairy tale, but unfortunately, as we all know, fairy tales often have endings that it's not what we were looking for. So that was sad, but the response wasn't sad. The response of people around the country, the empathy that they showed towards Rothfire, that love for that animal came through. The support to the Heathcote stable came through, and it's said to us that there's some really good people in racing, and there's some really good people in this Everest team, that's for sure. And we're really proud to be a part of a team that behaves like that.
Got to say that sometimes social media brings out the worst in people, but on this particular occasion, on the miEverest social media accounts, it's certainly brought out the best. And the other thing it's brought out is the love of the animal. And the first instance on most occasions, well, I just hope Rothfire's okay. Now, the second one is, we've got to find another horse to fill the slot of Rothfire. I'm glad to say that Daniel O'Sullivan joins us along with Mark Moore. Good afternoon and good evening, gentlemen.
Hey, TK. Steve.
Yeah, g'day, guys. How are you?
Hey, Mark, how often have you heard it? That's racing.
Yeah, well, obviously involved at very close quarters with owning horses and obviously Kim training. You know, you see horses come and go on a daily basis. You know, a week is a long time in racing and even a day. So things change very quickly. First of all, obviously very sad news about Rothfire. Hopefully he does return to the races and gets back on track. So that was terrible luck for Rob and obviously the miEverest slot holders. But we move on. One door closes, another opens, and it's still anything can happen. You know, we're still in there with a chance.
Well, Daniel, let's take people through the process. We had to find another horse with Rothfire, who, by the way, has undergone an operation on that sesamoid bone. And from all reports early on, the operation was 100% successful. So hopefully we've seen Rothfire back on that racetrack. But Daniel, that sort of left us with three options. And that was probably in order: Santa Ana Lane, Trekking, and also Eduardo, all three sort of line ball hitting the line together. And how did we assess them? And now, obviously Santa Ana Lane and Trekking have been taken, and Eduardo, how do you assess Eduardo?
Looks, yeah, TK, I mean, pretty much from the time we got the news late Saturday afternoon that we thought Rothfire was obviously going to be massive doubt, we started racking our brains, trying to think about the types of horses that we could get onto. It did come down to that list that you mentioned. We have landed on Eduardo. Look, there's no doubt that I think he deserves his place in the race. He does need to run a new personal best to win. There's no denying that. But look, so do plenty other horses in the race. Horses like Behemoth, Tefane, Bivouac needs to improve on his recent form. There's plenty of others there as well that are going to need to run a new best to win. So we're in that boat as well. But look, I think we've landed on a horse that's in career best form. There's a bit of detail I can go through there. And I think he's going to turn up there ready to run the race of his life and hopefully give us all a really big shout in the race.
Yeah, well, obviously Nature Strip has got some concerns there, the hot favourite for the Everest. And the second favourite, Classique Legend. Well, Mark War, Classique Legend was super impressive, has been managed beautifully by the stable as well. And we'll go back to the shorts. And I say Classique Legend was impressive here, Mark, but you've got to say Eduardo chucked three wide, did a lot of hard work, was probably entitled to drop out, but certainly showed great courage to finish in second position behind Classique Legend. And this was in the shorts, which is a crucial lead-up race.
Yeah, exactly right, TK. And you'll see Eduardo in the lime green colours with the big white face. He's easy to pick up in the run. He jumped pretty well, but Nash sort of elected just to ease out of the speed battle. He thought he was going to get across either outside the leader or in the 1-1, but he ended up getting stuck 3 deep. And you can see him there just checking off heels. So he's basically caught 3 deep, no cover the entire race. Classique Legend's back there, sort of 4th last, a grey horse in the red and white. He gets a nice tag into the race and a nice suck into the race. Eduardo, you can see him just a little bit awkward around that corner. Just had to go wide. But what I liked about Eduardo was that he kept finding the line. He kept battling on really strongly. There's a lot of nice horses around him there. Obviously, Bivouac in the Godolphin colours. He doesn't get past Eduardo. So that's a really good sign. I mean, he didn't have the easiest run either, Bivouac, but Eduardo just kept finding the line. He kept toughing it out. And that's what you're going to need. You're going to need a horse with plenty of guts, a bit of tactical speed, which is great to see as well. And in the end, he was only, a length or a length and a half off Classique Legend, who's currently the 2nd favourite in the race. So you'd have to say that is a really good run and a very competitive run moving forward to the Everest.
Yeah, no doubt about that. And it's exactly right. So, Daniel, I guess you're the ratings man. I guess how that obviously that sort of a run from Eduardo, Classique Legend, the 2nd favourite. How do you rate it now?
Yeah, look, I thought there was plenty of positives to take from it, to be honest. He's around 102 rating on my scale. That doesn't allow for the fact that he ran wide. He was only a length behind Classique Legend. As Mark pointed out, I mean, as they sort of moved to the 300, Bivouac was there to challenge, and Eduardo held him safely to the line. And one of the things I liked is that actually through the line, Eduardo wasn't stopping at all. About 50 metres past the post, he's still in front of every other runner, apart from Classique Legend. So as Mark said, he's very tough, this horse. He showed that coming off that tough run, he could accelerate. As I said, he does need to go to a new level, but something that gives us some hope there. I mean, this is his first preparation under Joe Pride. He was with previous trainer in Victoria, Sarah. I'm not sure how to pronounce her last name, but we'll call her Sarah. She did a great job with the horse. He was sort of peaking around the 98, 99 rating level. Since he's been with Joe Pride, his first 2 runs, he ran to that peak. His running the shorts was actually the first time in his career he's ever had a 3rd up run, this horse. And in doing that, he's gone to a brand new career peak for Joe Pride. As I said, plenty of merit in the run, strong through the line. And so we've landed on a horse that, you know, look, as a competitive figure there, coming off a career peak in career best form. He's got tactical speed. He's with a new trainer who extracted that peak out of him. So, look, it's not totally unrealistic to think that he could go to another new level on the day and really put himself somewhere in the picture. I know Joe Pride's very confident that the horse can run a big race on the day. And as I said earlier, look, I think there's going to be a month between runs. He's going to have a trial. There's plenty of time to work on the horse and try and extract that little bit more out of him. Lizzie's commented before, the horse is just bomb-proof. So I'm really optimistic that we're going to get there on the day. As I said, we've got a horse in career best form coming off a new peak. Hopefully he draws and maps well, and he's going to be there to run the race of his life.
No doubt about that. Now, I think we should give our miEverest slot holders a little bit of an insight, Steve Brown, if we possibly can, to I've always been fascinated by the horse trading that goes on because, you had Rothfire, went early. People said, what are you doing with Rothfire? Comes out, record run in the Run to the Rose. And, of course, you're a hero for going early and locking that horse in. And the horse trading, I guess you've fielded lots of calls from trainers going, well, we've got this horse, it's going enormous. So I don't think I've met a trainer at the moment whose horse isn't flying.
Yeah. Well, one of those was Libertini, which the panel have been keen on because she does have that X factor, a horse that could really figure in the finish. And the panel, in other circumstances, would have been really keen to have a look at her. But the problem with waiting for Libertini would mean that everything else is gone. And we could have been caught out in a big way. And that's the last thing we wanted on the behalf of slot holders, to be caught out. The other thing that has become very apparent is, all deals are different. and we wanted to do the best deal we possibly could to maximise the return for our micro slot holders. There was a deal, possibilities there that you guys wouldn't have been happy with. And that sort of precluded certain deals from happening. So, the panel identified targets. It's then up to us to try and execute on those targets, and then it's not always possible. They're two separate challenges, I guess.
Yeah, It's going to be interesting, Mark, as you have a look at Eduardo. I know you took us back through that shorts and that really heroic performance in so many ways from Eduardo. But I think most of these horses are all going to have to improve and nearly come up with a career best, obviously, to win a race like the Everest.
Yeah, look, I mean, Saturday's going to be a very interesting day. You've got the Premier Stakes where you've got the two favourites, Nature Strip and Classique Legend, lining up against each other. So that'll be interesting to see how that plays out. You never know. You know, one of them might go poorly and all of a sudden, you know, the whole market changes. You don't want to wish bad on any horses, but these things happen in racing. Then you got the Gill guy, obviously down in Melbourne on Saturday with Santa Lane, Tofane. But I think the good thing about Eduardo is he performs on soft and good going and heavy going. He's had 4 starts on rain affected going, 2 wins on the soft and 2 on the heavy. So that's another, you know, string to the bow. If you do get a bit of rain, which often can do it Randwick, and it can get a very, very sticky track there on Everest Day. So, you know, you've got that advantage as well. So there's another box that's ticked. So, you know, I think we've got a good, tough galloper who's improving, got a good trainer who knows how to train sprinters. You know, Joe Pride's had ball and muscle, Terra Vista. So, yeah, at the moment, you'd have to say Eduardo is one of the form horses. Yes, as Dan says, he's got to improve a little bit on ratings, but there's a lot of horses in that same boat. Now we can see you guys. Turn those lights off, will you?
It's a bit harsh, isn't it? Hey, Dan, one thing too, obviously ticking lots of boxes here, Eduardo, clearly. Joe Pride as a trainer of Group 1 sprinters. The other one now, Rachel King will have the ride. And Dan, I know you've got plenty of time for Rachel King, who's got a good association with Joe Pride as well.
Yeah, I must admit, TK, I was really pleased when you guys advised that she was going to get the ride. I think she's massively underrated as a rider. More so in the general public. There's plenty of trainers that like to put her on, including James Cummings, who largely has the pick, and he's put Rachel King on plenty of horses, and she's already ridden a couple of stakes winners for him, so that's a good recommendation. You know, I spend part of my daily and weekly work looking at how jockeys are riding, looking at their performance figures. She's right up there with the best of them. I mean, if we look at the time she has been given rides on genuine chances in the market over the past, you know, season and a few months now, I mean, her strike rate is better than many, many big name riders. She's only a shade off the likes of James McDonald and Nashua Willer. So, look, I think the moral to that story is that when Rachel King gets the opportunity on the right horse, she gets the job done as well, and in some cases better than many of the big names. So, look, I was really pleased to see her booking, and I think she's going to do an awesome job for us, and look, it'd be a great story if we could complete the fairy tale with some type of result and she was involved.
She's super excited, Steve.
Yeah, she is. She did a shoot this morning with the News Limited, and she's really excited for the opportunity, and that's what we want. And I guess one of the things that Lizzie's always said is we need a horse that's you know, in that front half of the field that can play, you know, doesn't rely on all circumstances playing out. You know, they can put themselves in the position, and Dan, that's what this horse does.
Yeah, he's got great tactical speed. As you know, Mark went through the ride there, and it was just split-second choices that Nash made that saw him end up getting posted. But look, he's a horse I sort of visualising, hopefully, you know, going forward and perhaps taking a sit just off the likes of maybe Nature Strip and Farnan and maybe one other. And look, he's going to be beautifully positioned, I think, turning for home. And if he's on song, he's going to be able to give a bit of a kick. We saw that in the shorts after travelling wide. He was still able to range up and sustain a run. And look, if we, you know, get into the early part of that straight at Randwick and he's coming from just off the lead and gives that kick, it's going to be a pretty exciting watch. And then we've got to hope that, you know, he's got the late strength to hold off some of those big closers. And as I said, 50 metres past the post in the shorts, he was still holding off all those other horses. So we know he's tough. We know he's going to give everything he's got. And look, I really think we're in there with a chance of getting a result and having a super exciting day.
Dan, that sounds really good to me. Mark, I reckon we'll give it a massive cheer at about the 200-metre mark.
Yeah, those big lime green colours, you won't you won't be able to miss them, and especially if it's wet, if it's a heavy track. Look out, we firm into about $3, don't we? Heavy
Oh,
track.
you good thing.
Can I just say before we finish up, guys, a special thanks to Mark and Dan, to Ty and Lizzie, who have given their time because they believe in racing and the future of racing around micro ownership. And we can't thank you enough for what you've done. You know, we've had a right hook come over the weekend, and it wasn't what anyone planned, but you guys have just ripped in since and dealt with the circumstances that have been thrown at the team. So on behalf of 2,000 people, thank you guys so much. We're really sincerely grateful.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, pleasure. Can't wait to get there on Everest Day, and go Eduardo.